Hey guys, welcome to the shop. It's raining today. In Texas, this is like one of the best days ever. It's like walking down the street, finding a $20 bill or $50 bill on the sidewalk. It just doesn't happen. It's awesome. So we've got a lot of ground to cover today. I'm going to talk to you about bracing, why bracing is so important to an acoustic guitar. And I'm also going to reveal the winner of the poll, so you guys will know what type of wood we're going to use to build this guitar. And one last thing I'm going to do is start making the braces for this guitar. We got to get busy doing something. Did you know that every time you tune your guitar, you're putting on about 185 pounds of pressure to get these strings up to tension? 185 pounds. Do you have any idea how much that is? Here's a guitar top. Before we put the braces on, just the bridge plate, that's all that's there. You can see it's quite flexible. So what's going to happen if you put 185 pounds pressure on this without any bracing? Just going to break. And just to give you an idea of things that you might be familiar with, let's do a little comparison. The average weight of a 20-year-old male in the US is 195 pounds. That's almost the same as the string tension on your guitar. Or for you ladies out there, that's like 25 newborn babies. Or for the sporting enthusiast, that's like 15, 12-pound bowling balls. Here's a guitar top before we put braces on it. As you can see, quite flimsy. So what's going to happen if you put those 12 bowling balls on this top? Or that 20-year-old kid? Or 25 babies as far as that goes? It's just going to snap. There's not enough strength here to hold that kind of tension. That's why guitar braces are so important. It holds this in the correct shape, so when you strum the strings, it can transfer all that vibrational energy into this top. Now, the type of materials you decide to use for your braces will change the sound of your guitar. So will the weight of the materials. Let me give you a really good example that it resonates with all my students around here. Let's take baseball, for example. We've all been to a baseball game, specifically, let's say softball, where they use the aluminum bats. When somebody whacks that ball with an aluminum bat, you get a very distinctive. And when you go to a baseball game where they actually use a baseball, not a softball, and somebody hits that same ball with a baseball bat, a wooden bat, you get this sound. Totally different sound. And it's the same thing. They could be the same length, same weight, same shape, same everything about the bats. But if you take an aluminum bat and a wooden bat, everybody can hear the difference. That's the same thing that's going on in your braces, only just on a much smaller scale. Your choice in materials for your braces will also make a difference. If you take a piece of mahogany and use that for bracing versus taking a piece of spruce and using that for bracing, they're going to be totally different. It takes more wood, more mahogany to get the same stiffness as a smaller piece of spruce. So if you wanted I just made a prop for you guys. For example, if you used a mahogany brace, it might be this big. To get the same strength out of a spruce brace, it might be this big. Now obviously that's exaggerated for the purposes of education here, but that's a general idea. You're going to have a much bigger, heavier brace if you use mahogany than if you use spruce. Another important factor is grain direction. I don't expect you could, hopefully you can see all this. I drew some lines on the end of this board. I think you can probably see it. If you can't see the lines, just imagine them going straight up and down. That's what we'd call quarter sawn lines, or quarter sawn wood. If it would be this way where the lines are going horizontal, that would be flat sawn wood. So we want to make our braces where the lines are going straight up and down. That'll give us the most strength. If you get them on an angle, that's going to weaken the brace. If you get them flat sawn, that's obviously going to be much, much weaker. Now, the overall stiffness of the piece of wood that you pick out also makes a difference. Trees are not exactly the same from one tree to the other. They're not even the same from one part of the tree to the next. You can cut off a piece and move over 3 inches and it's got totally different properties than in both of those pieces. A lot of guys will actually take their braces and put them in a fixture sort of like this and hang a weight on it, the same weight every time, and then they'll measure how much deflection they get in each one of the braces. They want all their braces to be identical or at least match a certain specification. You can go to that extreme if you want. Generally, I don't do that, but what you'll find if you do that is there's going to be some braces, even out of the same board, that will bend more than other braces. Obviously, the idea is to get the stiffest braces, so the ones that are bending more, you don't want to use them. The ones that bend more or less, you may want to use in different places on the guitar. For example, if you're still building a Martin X brace, you probably want your stiffest brace to be on the X. If you want to get more flexibility on your top, maybe you'll use a softer brace on the tone bars or the finger braces. So that's different ways that people use different stiffnesses of braces and why they might want to measure them. One thing that we know for sure is that lighter braces make for a better guitar. All the cheap factory guitars, $100, $300, $400 and up guitars, all use big, stiff, heavy bracing. That's because they're trying to avoid warranty issues, so they overbrace them. People can sit on them and they can bang them against the walls, they can drop them, they don't have to worry about their guitars breaking. But the higher end guitars, the ones that are $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 guitars and up, all have much smaller, much lighter bracing. And it makes the guitar come alive. The top can vibrate like it's supposed to, and you get all kinds of more sound. You get a lot more sound coming out of a lightly braced guitar than a stiff braced guitar. The most obvious way to reduce weight in bracing is to use the lighter material. Spruce has a lot more stiffness to weight ratio than mahogany does, so spruce would be a better choice. The way you shape your braces also makes a difference. So if you leave them like the cheap factory guitars and just have a little round over on the top, they're not removing a lot of material. There's a lot of excess weight just in those braces. So if you carved your braces more to a triangle shape, you're removing a lot of that excess weight, but you're still keeping about 80% of the strength. Another possibility for lightening your braces is to experiment with different materials. There's no rule saying that you have to use spruce. There's no reason you can't experiment with different materials to try and reduce the weight of your braces as well. Things like graphite, carbon fiber, laminated bracing. They're all different ways that you can try. My final point is that placement of your braces really can change everything. Not always, but it can. The Martin Guitar Company is credited for inventing the X-brace system used in modern guitars. C.F. Martin, between the 1840s and 1845, somewhere in there, came up with the X-brace system. And the reason for it is, prior to that, we were using gut strings made from animal guts. And around that time, they invented steel strings. So the steel strings actually required more tension, closer to that 185 pounds. Well, the type of bracing they were using before couldn't hold up to that kind of string tension. So they had to come up with a new bracing pattern. The Martin X brace pattern is still one of the most widely used patterns in the entire world. But I got one question for you. Why? We don't use transportation from 200 years ago unless you count the wheels in the cart and the car both being round. I bet your cell phone isn't based off of a tin can with a string that you stretch over to your neighbor and start talking on. Sometimes my PC feels like it's 200 years old. When's the last time you had to go out to the backyard, start a fire, put your cast iron pan down, bring out the pork beans and the hot dogs, and make supper? They probably didn't have hot dogs back then, so it was probably more like squirrel. So my point is, technology is constantly improving. So why in the guitar community have we stuck to this traditional thing of where we just have to hang on to the X-brace? I've stopped making X-brace guitars several years ago. I just made enough. It was time to start looking for something different. So that's what I did. So I'm challenging you, if you're watching this because you want to learn how to build guitars, or maybe you already do, try something new. Get away from that Martin X brace and experiment a little bit. I bet you'll be happy you did. All right, now we've got all that covered. Let's get out to the shop and make some braces. Poll results. Who won? Well, I tell you what, you guys are amazing. I did not expect this many votes when I put this poll up. I thought maybe 5 or 6 people would vote. I got a lot of votes. Got over 30 votes. And for a guy that only had 24 subscribers a week ago, I find that quite amazing. So here's what happened. We had a final vote of the bottom two got 19% each, and that was the cherry and the yellow heart. There for a while, the yellow heart was neck and neck with our winner, and I thought for a second that it might actually go to the yellow heart. But it ended up sliding back down as we collected more votes. In second place was the traditional mahogany, and it was, you know, at the beginning, it was the least. It got out of the gate so slow, it didn't look like it was going to do anything. It had like 1-2 votes tops for most of the time. And in the last couple of days, it's actually got all the way up to second place. So that leaves our winner, which is the baby alien walnut that had 38% of the vote. So not really a close contest. It basically doubled the second place piece of wood in there. So pretty clear choice. We are going to build a 3/4 size baby alien walnut guitar. Stick around. So there you have it. You want your braces to be strong, you want your braces to be light, and don't be afraid to get outside of that traditional X-brace type system. Experiment with your braces. Place them in different ways. Try different things. Use different materials. See what works for you. What's the worst that could go? What's the worst that could happen? That's never going to work. Why is this stuff so hard? It's just normal stuff. Maybe I just don't want any little slip-ups.